Welcome, friends, it's the Movie Film Podcast. Movie Film Podcast, enjoy the show. Zaki, Sean, and Ryan are talking about movies. Movie Film Podcast on the radio.
Welcome to Movie Film. This is episode 48. 48. My goodness. We're chugging right along. We're headed towards episode 50, and we have big things planned. Big things.
Oh, man.
Yeah.
Big things.
Your minds will be blown.
Yeah.
And as soon as we think of those big things, you should let us know what they are, because... But that is still kind of exciting because when you think about it, we're very close to our 2-year anniversary having done this show.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
I know. It's crazy.
Yeah.
But regardless, my name is Zaki Hassan. I'm your host. And once again, joining me is my good friend and co-host, Brian Hall.
Happy to be here, Zaki.
And Sean Coyle is not here. We should really, every week he's not here, we should come up with a new, increasingly elaborate thing that he's doing instead of being here.
Yeah. This week it's defending the honor of children.
Well,
Right? Yeah, that sounds good.
He's that sounds like he's hosting like a new edition of To Catch a Predator or something like that.
That's what I was thinking, like Temple of Doom.
Okay.
Like he went into some sort of like cavernous area where all these kids were like picking away at rocks, and then the silhouette entered, and he's like, "Yeah, let's leave, all of us." And it was Sean, and then he knocks out a guard.
And he has a little Asian boy who's his sidekick.
Yeah. Roundabout, let's call it.
Roundabout. So Brian, what's happening? Anything new?
No, it feels like it's been a while. I'm going to be honest.
Yeah, even though it's our usual talk time, but it's you know what it is? It's because we're in the summer season, and things seem to be moving faster.
Yeah, more releases coming out.
Yeah, exactly.
More interesting releases, let's say, in a shorter time span. So it feels like, oh wow. But yeah, we're talking about X-Men tonight. Is one of the films we're going to talk about, and I'm like, oh man, I saw that. I don't even know, like week and a half ago.
It feels like a while ago. Yeah. Well, so speaking of releases, my kid is going to be released from the private school that we've been putting him in because I realized that private school is very expensive.
Oh yeah. I thought you were going to say cherry bomb in the toilet.
No, he did not do that. I know.
Did he do that? I don't know.
He I think that's a very that's a bygone. If that's the only thing kids do, that's fine, you know.
Yeah.
No, yeah. It's funny because we've had this situation where it's just we really like the school that he goes to, but again, it's just really expensive trying to make ends meet. And then what happened is that a few months ago, he comes home and he's like, I don't want to go to this school anymore. And we're like, oh, what's going on? He says, oh, some kids are picking on me and they're mean to me. And he's like, I don't want to go there anymore. And I'm like, oh, well, that, like, on the one hand, I'm like, oh, that sucks. But on the other hand, I'm like, well, yeah, I mean, we're going to be probably sending you to a different school anyway. It's cheaper. So it kind of works, And
so you sell it to him like,
yeah, exactly.
You know what? You're right. Let's do it.
So, well, that's we're all good to go. And then last week, I pick him up and he says, I don't want to change schools. I like this school. And it's like, well, what about the kids that were picking on you and this and that? And he says, oh no, they're good to me now. They're nice to me. And so I come home and I tell my wife, I was like, hey, those kids aren't picking on him anymore. And she's like, yeah, I talked to the teacher and she talked to them. And I'm like, well, why'd you do that? I'm like, why'd she have to go and tell them to get involved? So now I'm thinking like I might just bribe those kids to kind of push them around a little bit.
Well, it's funny because, obviously I know your kids pretty well, and I was starting to get a sort of hand that rocks the cradle kind of thing going on where I was ready to go up to those kids and push them off a swing.
No, I'm actually going to tell him to push him off a swing. I mean, just a little bit. No, nothing permanent, but just enough to make him hate the school. So that
I could just see you like talking to these little kids. It's like, look, man, I can't. This school, there's another school I have totally in mind. If you could just like really help me out here.
It'd be funny. I go up to him. I'm like, hey, come here. And it's like, we're not picking on him. I'm like, no. Here's $20. Just pick on him a little bit.
There's stickers in it for you, huh?
Cut to me like getting led away by the cops, trying to explain this whole. This is like a Larry David episode.
Totally, yeah.
Anyway, so that's what's going on right now, yeah, because we're winding down the school year, so that's very exciting. Now, of course, by virtue of winding down the school year, that means that summer movie season is fully upon us. And as we were alluding to earlier, that means that a lot of stuff keeps whizzing by. The speed of entertainment is too fast for us. So of course we have a lot of headlines to get to, a lot of stuff to talk about. But I know that you've been watching. Your journey through Game of Thrones has been continuing.
Oh, fear not, listener. I'm not going to talk about spoilers. But I felt like I had to throw this out into the universe because I just watched this past Sunday's episode, which was June 1st. And I'm not going to say anything because I am so this is the whole point of why I want to talk about this. Every week something sort of momentous happens, some huge sort of thing. And then this week was no exception. Very, very big events going down. And I was just like, aside from having to avoid Facebook a little bit and avoid Yahoo a little bit and a couple other sites a little bit, I just couldn't believe that I didn't have plot points spoiled for me. Mm-hmm. And I was just thinking, you know what? I know so many people in my life have read these books. And I was just sort of amazed. I was like, I can't believe the restraint of these people, not even like teasing some of these like crazy spoilers that have come up. So all I wanted to say was to all you Game of Thrones readers who know what's going to be happening week to week and have been completely self-controlled and not spoiling these things for people like me who are watching it as it goes along on HBO. Thank you.
So I'm actually even more behind than you because all you are is behind in the books. I haven't watched episode 1. I haven't watched minute 1 of this show. So I'm completely behind, and I haven't been as lucky as you because I feel like let me put it this way. I feel like the watchers of the show are douchier than the watchers of the readers of the books.
You know, yes, and what I'm saying actually may not hold true completely, but because I feel like there's sort of like a ticking time limit thing on it, you know, where it's like for the next couple of days people are showing some restraint, but there are massive spoilers from last season that people, you know, throw into like references in television shows as if everyone knows what it is now. And so after a while, I think, unfortunately, those things become fair game.
Well, let me ask you, what do you think is, and this is maybe not Game of Thrones centric, but more general, what is the window where a spoiler should remain a spoiler?
I'll be honest, I think some people disagree with me. Well, I think whenever someone posts on Facebook, you should always put spoiler. Always.
Yeah, like, or say like, I can't believe what happened, spoiler in the comments or something.
Yes, exactly. I think that goes without saying. I would say always, but maybe I'm just very picky about that.
No, but okay, so I think, like the ending of The Sixth Sense, let's say. How is that not considered a spoiler anymore?
No, I mean, it is a spoiler, but at the same time, I think it's a spoiler that has become a cultural. You don't even have to really know that movie to know what the spoiler of that film is. Yeah, that's almost become sort of like a little touchstone.
Okay, good.
But I was going to say for television, because I watch, you know, like Mad Men and Game of Thrones and Breaking Bad. I did and those were, you know, big topics of conversation. And I feel like on Facebook, the first night, like the night it airs, is completely out of bounds. Okay. You know what I mean? Just because there's people, I saw on my Facebook, there was a conversation going on about like, look, I'm happy you live on the East Coast, but screw you. You know what I mean? Like It hasn't even aired yet in the West Coast and people are spoiling this. It's like, look, the first night is the first night. And frankly, I think the week really should be kind of the off limits. But all that said, I feel like there should always be a spoiler tag. So I think it's not just a movie geek thing anymore. You know, I mean, I think that's kind of a cultural thing now. I think everybody understands that. So would you agree?
I think it's definitely the social media age has shortened the half-life of how long a spoiler can remain a spoiler.
Yeah, that's a good point. I mean, Sixth Sense came out now completely different time. I didn't see that movie till a month and a half or more after it came out, and someone I worked with was like, "You haven't seen it?" And she took me directly to the theater from work, and it just hadn't been spoiled, and it was great.
Okay, yeah. That's so. It's you know you know there's two kinds of people. There's the kinds of people who are like, "Hey, you want me to tell you? Oh, I'm going to tell you." Right?
Yeah.
That's one. And then there's the kind of people who want to keep you completely in a hermetic seal and experience your reaction to whatever the twist is.
Yeah. My brother and I are trying to be better about that, because sometimes we won't spoil things for each other, but we started to be like, "Oh yeah, I won't tell you what happens, but it was really good. I loved it. You're going to love it."
Yeah.
And then we even felt like, no, that's too much. Like, I don't even want to spoil. Like, I want you to just enter it the way you're going to enter it, and we'll talk about it later. So that's actually how sensitive my brother and I are about spoilers with one another. So,
well, I think that's the right attitude.
Yeah. Well, that wasn't the only thing I watched. I wanted to bring up, I also saw a film that you already saw, Short Term 12.
Oh, yeah. It's great.
Not only had you seen it, but you had an interview with Brie Larson, who's the star of the film.
It was great in that movie.
Yes, and so I can't really, I completely agree with Zaki. I mean, all I'll say is I know he highly recommended it. I wanted to catch it. It's on Netflix now, and so I was like, oh, finally, I'll check this little movie out. And when it was over, I mean, it knocked me over. Like, this movie is just. It's a character drama, I mean, it's not super plot heavy. It takes place in a facility for kids who are about to be placed in the foster homes and the people that run it. And I know the writer-director, Destin Cretton.
Yep.
This is actually based on experiences that he himself lived working in one of these places, I guess. And just really, really rich characters and a lot of stakes, but they're really grounded stakes, and really you can get really rooted in it emotionally. And I think I texted you immediately when it was over because I enjoyed it so much, and I didn't know who else to talk about it with. So, just whenever you're looking for that little change of pace, that sort of smaller movie that's still going to be worth your time, and you feel like you went on a journey, I highly recommend Short Term 12. Really, really enjoyed it.
Well, and speaking of kind of these smaller movies that do kind of get overlooked, I had a chance to see a smaller film called Obvious Child, and this is a movie directed by Gillian Robespierre, and it stars Jenny Slate, who you might know from, well, you know her from you work on Bob's Burgers, right? Yeah. And she is one of the voice artists on Bob's Burgers. Tammy on Bob's Burgers, that's right. And she used to be on Saturday Night Live. I think she's most famous for letting an F-bomb drop on her very first episode of Saturday Night Live.
You should YouTube that, because the look on her face is pretty priceless. It's sort of like that, oh, crap.
That's the one rule that you don't break. I think on SNL, they have two rules. One, you don't swear, and the other is you don't go off script ever.
Yeah.
So that's definite no. But she didn't last very long on SNL, but she's managed to find a remarkable afterlife, and she's appeared on a variety of different shows, and she's
very talented.
Really very talented, very funny, and she's great in this film, Obvious Child. It's about a stand-up comedian. She plays a stand-up comedian named Donna Stern, who has an unexpected surprise when a one-night stand leaves her pregnant, and she has to deal with the ramifications of that. And it's a little character film. Great performance by Jenny Slate. We also have Richard Kind in there, and David Cross, and a few other people who are of course pretty familiar. But I had a chance to speak with Gillian Robespierre, who is the director. This is her feature debut. She adapted the film from a short film, which he expanded out, and the short also featured Jenny Slate. So here's my conversation with Gillian Robespierre. Let's go ahead and listen to that.
So, now, Obvious Child started as a short film.
It did.
Where did that start from? Where did the genesis of the short film come from?
It started as a film that I wrote with my friends Anna Bean and Karen Main, and we just wanted to tell the story in this way. After watching so many movies, throughout our childhoods, life regarding women, we just felt like the genre was getting a little stale. The romantic comedy genre was getting a little, I mean, we love those movies, but we found them to be not relatable. Mm-hmm. The characters, at least, weren't people that looked or sounded like us. And we also were a little disenchanted with the representation of a young woman's experience with becoming pregnant. So we went out and shot this movie in 4 days, and Jenny starred in it. And, it did really well for a short. And it ignited a conversation that was really exciting on the internet, because a lot of blogs that I go to 45 million times a day, like Jezebel and Bust and Feministing, wrote about it and linked our short to their stories. So a lot of people started watching Obvious Child, this little movie that we made in 4 days, and that was really exciting. And it definitely encouraged me to go out and make it bigger.
Was that something that was a challenge, or was that something refreshing where you suddenly had more breathing room?
Well, I think writing can always be challenging. And we had this very tight story with a beginning, middle, and end in the short. And how, I think it was daunting figuring out how to expand on that. But it snapped into place a couple of times along the way. One is, it was really fun expanding Donna's world with, creating her parents. Because in the short, her mom was just a voice on a phone call. But to really, explore the mother-daughter relationship and the father-daughter relationship and being a daughter of divorce and how she's still close to both of her family members, both of her parents. So that was a fun way to expand on her world. And then creating her best friend world, and then her job. In the short, she was just a freelancer. We didn't have enough time to give her a job. So, writing the feature, we could have done anything. She could have been a skydiver. That would have been crazy, because I'm not going to shoot skydiving scenes. But she could have done anything. And then, Jenny's an amazing stand-up, and it felt like a really good world to explore. Somebody who is a little less confident in her day-to-day life, and this empowered stand-up comedian on stage. And then when she loses that strength, what happens to her? Taking her on that, journey of sort of figuring out how to be a confident grown-up.
Talk about working with Jenny. I mean, she's been involved from the very beginning. So what has your collaboration been like?
Amazing. She, on the short, we learned a lot. It was a first for us. And on the feature, it was a first for us in ways, too, because this was my first feature that I have directed. And this was Jenny's first time playing a woman who was really real and not some character, that she is used to playing on her TV shows, and she's so great at that. But this was a real chance for her to show her range, and I think we really trusted each other a lot and admired each other's wits and style, and we were, she's truly body and gentle, and I think together we just really were excited to show this character in this way, and it was a real great collaboration. She's a wonderful actress.
Now, at the beginning of our conversation, you were talking about your own influences, or you alluded to them. What are some of your influences in terms of the rom-com genre?
I don't think I never used to call rom-coms, which is so funny. I would always say romantic comedies, and I forced myself to say rom-com when we were writing all the grant applications, but I really don't like that word.
And why is that?
That phrase. I don't know. I just like saying it sounds small, and
it sounds diminutive.
I think so. Or chick flick, that's gross too.
Sure.
But the romantic comedies that I love, are from Woody Allen to Nicole Hoffmannsler to Mike Nichols, Nora Ephron, when she collaborates with Rob Reiner. I just watched When Harry Met Sally the other night. My boyfriend had never seen it.
Oh, wow.
And it was fun to watch it with him because he had so many questions. And you could definitely see a clear influence from Obvious Child taken from When Harry Met Sally. So those are all, a lot of those have New York as a character. A lot of those feel like they're shot in real locations and not sound stages, and the characters are funny, but there's also like heartfelt moments, and that's sort of the mixture that I love when I see a romantic comedy.
Yeah, well, and I mean, you mentioned
not coming out of a studio, but I love, I think a lot of those are studio movies. Probably.
Well, I mean,
all of them were.
I mean, you mentioned Woody Allen. I see a Woody Allen influence so much in this. I mean, what you mentioned about sort of just this quintessentially New York story, that it's very Allen-esque.
Yeah, even when Donna and Max are walking down the street right before he steps in poop, we're definitely taking the Annie Hall Manhattan tracking shot and just sort of adding our own style story to it. But those character studies right up my alley, and those are the things that I really connect to, and I like them as filmmakers because I think they seek authenticity in their characters, and they're not making caricatures of themselves or of human beings.
Right.
And their tone is just really honest, and I like that, and I think there is sort of a second coming, so to speak, of that I think audience are sort of seeking to or wanting to. And there's a lot of stuff out there like Lily and Girls and like Mark Maron, and I don't know, the list goes on and on of movies and TV shows that have that tone.
Right. Well, and just to wrap things up, this is your first time directing a feature. What surprised you?
What surprised me after or during?
Just at any point. What was something that and it could be a pleasant surprise or an unpleasant surprise?
It's all been really awesome. It's been a lot of work. It has been 5 years, and it's an amazing thing to have been able to stick with something for 5 years without going totally nuts. And I had no idea how this movie was going to be. It's so important to me, but obviously it's important to me. I've been working on it for so long, but I had no idea how other people were going to react to it. And it really seems like it's important to them. At least when we've been showing the movie at festivals and these word-of-mouth screenings, when women and men come up to me afterwards and say stuff like, "Thank you so much for making this movie, this is me," or "This is my best friend," or stuff like, as far as telling me their own stories with unplanned pregnancy and abortion and how it's changed their narrative.
Right.
That's really amazing. This started as a short, and it was a pure urge and desire to tell a story in this simple and honest way, and then to actually have people connect to it is a pleasant surprise.
Okay, so that film is playing in limited release, so check your listings. It's Obvious Child. It is worth giving a look.
Nice.
Now, moving on, we've got some headlines to talk about, and we were talking about how quickly the world of entertainment moves. A lot of stuff has happened since last we talked, so we have some updates and some updates to the updates and some updates on the updates to the updates. I think that's everything. Well, first of all, a correction, I guess, is that last time we mentioned that Alfonso Cuarón was headed towards the Harry Potter spin-off called Strange Beasts.
Or Fantastic Beasts and Where to Find Them.
There you go. I got bored about a third of the way through the title, got to be honest. That's just me. That's a problem.
You are not alone. We just lost some listeners, but
I know exactly. People are like Quiddicus, and they deleted the app from the. But so Alfonso Cuarón was he in talks? I mean, did everyone just jump the gun on this?
You know what? Didn't we talk about this one week where it was? I don't remember which particular spoiler, but people are taking their spoilers now from tracking boards.
Right.
Which are things that, assistants and people in the development world who work at studios, this is where they get their news. And a lot of it is accurate, but almost as much is rumor and hearsay, and they want to be the first person to get that news so they can get the script to their person so they can get it to their client, blah, 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 blah. So like these little leaks on these tracking boards get out and get these headlines, and then you get Alfonso Cuarón is directing Harry Potter. No, he's not. You know what I mean? Like, and that's the thing. I mean, we're so this 24-hour news cycle thing. We're starved for the next attention-grabbing headline. So it's like they're willing to throw that out there without anything to back it up. So this was one of those cases.
Indeed it was. So point being, by way of clarification, because I don't want to get any emails from people that are like, "Hey, stupid, you're wrong." Alfonso Cuarón is not attached to that, but the movie is still getting made. So. Make of that what you will.
Knock yourselves out.
That's right. That's right. Now, speaking of people being no longer attached to films, this is I think a story that sort of consumed the nerd sphere. I'm going to go ahead and assume that it has had no bearing on life outside of sort of the geek corner of the internet. But we've talked about this a few times on this show. Edgar Wright had been developing Ant-Man for Marvel Studios. From actually as you read the article, you find out from the time before Marvel Studios even existed as sort of an entity. Since 2006, and as of last week, he's no longer attached to the project because what happened, Brian? That Brian's heart, I think, broke.
You'll remember, I said on this very show, I was looking more forward to Edgar Wright's Ant-Man than I was Avengers 2. So when this came out, I have to say, I'll be honest, I wasn't completely surprised. Zaki and I had a little texting conversation. We were both like, we're not very surprised, but at the same time, we're disheartened. But it turns out, this is another one of those things where there's rumors. Why did it happen? Right. Turns out it was, at first people thought it was because he wasn't able to keep up. He was going too slow. He was not able to handle a production this big, but that was not the case. The case was that it was creative differences. And normally that is jargon for, drugs or, like had an affair with.
Drugs is exhaustion.
Oh, exactly. Yeah, exactly. But creative differences is a very, it's like a little thing you throw out there to cover up a multitude of sins.
It's an umbrella excuse.
Yeah, but this seems to actually be the case, where he had a vision. I mean, Edgar Wright, if you know Edgar Wright, you know Edgar Wright, and you can imagine what this movie would have been. But at the same time, this movie has to fit within a very intricate spiderweb of films. And it sounds like that they weren't able to make that happen. I guess they brought in because it was Edgar Wright and Joe. Oh, darn it! What's his name? Not Cornish. What's his name?
Yeah, Joe Cornish.
Cornish. Yeah, did Attack the Block, which is awesome. They co-wrote the script, but then they brought in two other guys to sort of smooth the script out and try to make it blend a little bit better to the other films. And I guess it just didn't fly with Edgar, and he didn't feel comfortable with that, and you can't blame him. I mean, if he's been working on this since 2006, obviously this is personal to him now.
But so here's what I'm wondering. Like, the Marvel is locked in to getting this thing out, and I think part of it is because they've got their long game, and they know that every year they have to have X number of movies and this and that, right? So that's
they're mapped out for the year 2028.
Is that right? 2028?
They are. It's set. It's locked. Through 2028, they have their map.
Okay, so here we go then, right? So we from a sort of corporate film perspective, you get it. Like there's a lot of moving parts now that are locked into having Ant-Man come out whenever it's supposed to come out. When is it scheduled to come out? Do you know?
July next year. I don't remember.
July of 2015. Okay, so I get that. Here's my question. is there any way that Ant-Man is not damaged goods? The film is not damaged goods.
I think in most cases you would say yes, just because they got these rewrites that it sounds like weren't really organic rewrites. They were sort of forced. We got to put a Band-Aid on something we need to fit that doesn't fit, like shoving a puzzle piece into the wrong piece. But like at the same time, I mean, even when Marvel's missed, they've been pretty admirable misses at least.
Okay.
So I just don't feel like there's any way the studio is going to put out a total turd. Okay. You know what I mean? Like it may not be the strongest entry, but I don't think this is like completely lost.
Okay.
You? What do you think?
Now obviously there's a mad rush to fill the director's slot because there's a cast that's locked in, and again, they can't push the production too far because obviously people are going to start drifting away. But there was talk briefly that Adam McKay was going to step in, and Adam McKay, of course, did the Anchorman movies. He's also he did Ricky Bobby, right? He did.
Yeah.
So he's kind of like the Will Ferrell guy.
Will Ferrell, yeah, definitely. And he also did The Other Guys, which had action elements in it.
That's right. The Other Guys, by the way, which has probably one of the funniest film scenes I've seen in the last 5 years, which is when The Rock and Sam Jackson jump off the building and die.
Yeah.
I can't remember laughing that hard at just about anything.
Yeah.
I guess that constitutes a spoiler, what I just said, but I feel
it's in the first 10 minutes.
Yeah. They're like,
it's a very intricate set of rules. Spoiler.
They're like, there wasn't even like scaffolding for that. Like, it's like, why would they do that?
That's so funny.
But yeah, so I was like, well, this is kind of an interesting choice. And Brian, you and I were kind of shooting texts back and forth because it was like Saturday morning at 10 a.m. it was looking like a done deal. And then Saturday morning at 10:13 a.m. it was no longer.
Yeah. You were like, well, scratch that.
Yeah, it was literally like we exchanged probably about 20 messages analyzing this, and then it blew up in our face. So that's
and it's too bad because we both liked it.
Yeah, we were like, all right, and then nothing happened there. So I mean, the clock is ticking here as far as who's going to fill in.
Yeah, I mean, you got to shoot an action picture, which is like 4 months at least.
Yeah,
and then you got the visual effects. And you got I mean, this is having worked in post production on a feature film. This is going to be a nightmare. It's going to be 7-day weeks. Like, yeah.
And you have to
not going to be fun.
The previs was done under. Like it was Edgar Wright's vision.
Yeah.
So that has to probably get scrapped.
Good point. I didn't even occur to me. You're right. Like all these sequences are certainly in his style.
Yeah.
So you're gonna have to. I mean, you can't do that still, right? I mean, it's kind of.
Yeah. I mean, well, I'm reminded of the Wolfman film from 20. I think it was 2011 that it came out. Or no, 2010, because Captain America was 2011. And that was, I forget who's the guy supposed to do that originally. I don't remember. But Joe Johnston jumped in with like a month to go before production.
Right.
And, have you seen the movie?
Yeah, I have.
I mean, I give Joe Johnston enormous props for just getting the thing out, but clearly it's you can see the Scotch tape holding this thing together.
Yeah, that's a very accurate.
And I had a chance to interview him back, as the film was coming out, and that's what he said. He said that his job, as he saw it, was to take a sinking ship and try to get it to float.
Wow.
And he said, like, this is one of the worst experiences of his life. So, I mean, who will willingly, subject themselves to that,
Well, that's a shame, too, because I'm trying to think of an example. I can't think off the top of my head. But, like, if the movie, like, say, in the instance of Wolfman, if it's not ready, then why waste it? You know what I mean? If you really want to build a franchise and you want everyone to think Wolfman is cool and it's not ready, like I of course I understand the business aspect and you have these dates and you got to make your quarterlies and all that crap. But like, wouldn't you rather have something that makes a lot more money and people really like, and then people want to ride the Wolfman ride, and then they want to see the Wolfman sequel. Like, why? I just don't understand. I mean, in Marvel's case, I understand a little bit more because you're stuck. You know what I mean? If you've got that web that you've built like you have, then there's nothing you can do. But with something like Wolfman, I don't think anyone's going to miss it if it doesn't come out some March. You know, put it out in a year. You know, get a good writer to fix it, and I just don't understand that.
And it ended up being delayed anyway.
Yeah.
So there was really no reason to go into production on that at all.
Yeah.
I will say, if Marvel's smart, this is just my suggestion, they should hire Lord and Miller of the Lego movie, of the Jump Street movies, and get them. And I think just pay them whatever they would want, because I think that their presence would add some credibility, and I think they could do it.
Yeah.
That would be my suggestion.
Yeah, and they got the humor thing, which is kind of a requirement, it seems. Well, maybe not. I don't know. I mean, with Edgar Wright, I always saw that it was going to be comical film.
If they were courting Adam McKay, I just assumed that it was going to take a more of a comedic bent, right? Yeah. But moving on, there are some other headlines to discuss, such as, speaking of projects that are anticipated and have had a lot of questions swirling around them, Jurassic World.
Yep.
Now I have been saying all along that I am more excited for Jurassic World than just about any other movie that's in the pipeline right now, including Avengers 2, including Batman v Superman.
Yeah, well, in your household, that's like Park's like the thing, right? I mean, weren't your kids saying when they saw Godzilla, they were just like, that's like up there with Jurassic Park.
That's Jurassic Park. Good. By the way, we should mention, since our last episode, they've announced the title of the Batman versus Superman movie.
Oh yeah! Wow, a lot has happened.
Yes, and it is called Batman v Superman: Dawn of Justice, which sounds like an episode of Harvey Birdman, Attorney at Law.
Yeah.
Batman v Superman. I don't understand it. It's a title. Everyone's going to call it Batman versus Superman anyway, but it just seems goofy to me.
Yeah.
But I mean, I'm not a hater. I've gotten some angry tweets that people say I'm a hater. I'm really not. I'm actively indifferent, is what I'm going to say.
Yeah.
As far as that goes. But regardless, Jurassic World. Now, there was a plot synopsis that got leaked. And this was a few weeks ago, and in fact we were going to mention it on our last show, but we kind of ran out of runway. And it went into some of the details of the plot, which I don't see much point in going into, since some of that has since been debunked. But it sounded interesting to me.
Mm-hmm.
And so Colin Trevorrow, in what I can only say is a very refreshing move, actually got out and talked about all this stuff and actually addressed it. Like, he didn't do the mystery box thing a la like every other director these days. So here's what Colin Trevorrow said specifically, which I think is of interest to us. So first of all, he says this film picks up 22 years after Jurassic Park. So in other words, things have moved along in real time. And specifically, I love this. He says, what if, despite previous disasters, they built a new biological preserve where you could see dinosaurs walk the earth? And what if people were already kind of over it? We imagined a teenager texting his girlfriend with his back to a T-Rex behind protective glass. For us, that image captured the way much of the audience feels about the movies themselves. We've seen CG dinosaurs. What else you got? Next year, you'll see our answer.
It's really cool.
That is very cool. And
that's a great image that he got.
It really is, right? You have a sense of exactly how they're constructing this movie.
Yeah.
Another question was, what are the relationships between the main characters and the dinosaurs? Are there good guy and bad guy dinosaurs? And he says there's no such thing as good or bad dinosaurs. There are predators and prey. The T-Rex in Jurassic Park took human lives and saved them. No one interpreted her as good or bad. This film is about our relationship with animals, how we react to the threat they pose to our dominance on Earth as a species. We hunt them, we cage them in zoos, we admire them from afar, and we try to assert control over them. And then there's more. And by the way, I'm reading these off of Slash Film, so it's pretty extensive. But and we can post that link on the Facebook page. What makes Jurassic World, different than the previous 3 Jurassic Park films? And he says, that's something you'll have to tell me after you see it. We're trying to tell a bold new story that doesn't rely on a proven formula, because the movies we watch over and over again are the ones that surprised us, that worked when they shouldn't have. I understand the risks of leaving the safe zone. We've all been disappointed by new installments of the stories we love. But with all this talk of filmmakers, quote, ruining our childhood, we forget that right now is someone else's childhood. This is their time, and I have to build something that can take them to the same place those earlier films took us. It may not happen in the same way everyone expects it to, but it's the way I believe it needs to happen. I don't know about you, but I read that quote, and I was like, Colin Trevorrow, I'm on board with whatever you got to do.
Yeah, you really hope he's got the goods to back it up, because that was like a really, like you say, refreshing, pretty cool. That's like how you want a director to talk.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Now that being said, I remember the last time I heard a director talking about the new installment of a beloved franchise he was working on and trying to talk down skepticism was McG talking about Terminator Salvation.
Right.
I remember McG being like, give us a shot. We're bearing in mind what you're saying. We're excited. And then, of course, it didn't work out so
Yeah. And he seemed so impassioned, and he even like went through all this effort to explain his name, and you're like, you know what? We do give him a hard time about his name.
We're like, all right, you know what, McG, you're right. You're right, McG. I believe in you, McG. And then McG, and then he made that movie what it was. So now, actually, speaking of the Terminator, did you see the pictures of Terminator Genesis? I think it's called.
I did. Yes, with Emilia Clarke and old Arnold Schwarzenegger.
That's right.
Yeah.
So what do you make of Arnold being as old as he is? I found it disconcerting.
Well, we'll have to see. I mean, I know the movies tried to build in like a logic to it, where they're saying, the Terminators have live flesh over, the metal skeleton. So if a Terminator is around for long enough, he will age. Right. So, I thought, of course you want to see Schwarzenegger in a Terminator film. It kind of cements it as a Terminator film in your brain. And so it seems like a decent explanation, so we'll see how that turns out.
I suppose. I have to say, I always love how optimistic you are.
Well, I hope it's good.
Yeah.
I hope it's good.
I mean, we'd all rather see a good Terminator movie than a bad one.
Yeah, for sure.
So that's the way I look at that. Yeah, good point. Now, we talked about Godzilla last time, and you and I both spoke highly of Gareth Edwards and the job that he did.
Yeah.
We referred to him as Spielberg-esque.
Yeah, I was just going to say his style in particular. I mean, he kind of has that, to me, had that sort of classical style that the directors that we grew up watching employed.
So he's gotten the ultimate imprimatur of success in modern Hollywood, which is that he's been tapped to direct the very first Star Wars spin-off.
Yeah.
Feature. Now, I admittedly I don't know that much about this. So do we know anything other than the fact that he's attached to it?
No one knows which character it's going to feature. I mean, the rumors are Boba Fett and Han Solo and whatchamacallit. So nothing set in stone just quite yet. But also, who was it? The writer Gary Whitta was tapped as the writer, and he is known for After Earth.
Oh my God!
And and then Book of Eli, and it looks like.
Did you ever see After Earth, by the way?
No,
Oh.
I'm not opposed to it. It just there were some other things kind of ahead of it on the list. Let's say.
Yeah, a few other things. Yeah. So this is not the Boba Fett movie that everyone's been talking about, or we don't know.
No, we don't know. Don't know yet. So we'll have to wait and see. But as soon as I heard that he was announced as the director, I get, you can see where they're heading with this and what they want it to sort of feel like, or at least the style that they want it to be. So
there's also some new casting. Speaking of Star Wars.
So Star Wars Episode 7 casting dropped today, and that would include the big complaint when the first round of casting came out and when the picture of the cast came out was that there was too few females.
Okay.
Cast so far, and so then today we learned that Lupita Nyong'o, who was probably best known for being in 12 Years a Slave, she won an Oscar for Best Supporting Actress. She was excellent in that movie, and she was in Nonstop for like 5 seconds. And
That's
then,
right. Yep.
And then Gwendolyn Christie, who, speaking of Game of Thrones, is in Game of Thrones, and she plays Brienne. And those are two great actresses, actually. So that's really positive news. Be interested to see how they fit into this universe that they're building up.
Huh. Okay. So far so good as far as what we're hearing about Episode 7.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, and then those pictures leaked today. Did you see that?
I did. So describe what they are and let's interpret. We have no information at all. But this being the internet, we speculate rampantly. So let's go ahead.
Yeah, well, I mentioned them to my brother, and he's like, "Oh, I thought you stay away from spoilers and things like that." But I feel like for now, I don't think anything like pictures are going to be too spoilery because I don't know who these people are. First of all, you can't. There's no Darth Vader is your father sort of moments. I think that can be spoiled at this point. But the pictures that were put out today were of I guess what they were filming in. Was it Abu Dhabi or something?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Right. So I guess it's doubling for Tatooine. At least that's what it looks like. And it was just they had a couple puppets, like practical puppets that they're going to use, which is a lot of people seem to be pretty excited about. And then there was also a bunch of sets that had been built practically, which people were very excited about. And it looks like they were taken from existing designs that Ralph McQuarrie had designed. He designed all the stuff for the original trilogy. Did a lot of paintings.
And he passed away recently.
Yes.
Yeah.
But his imagination has done what you think of when you think of the Star Wars universe. Like a good percentage of that came from Ralph McQuarrie. So it's pretty cool to see that his unused ideas are still living on, and that will only, I think, help link these new movies to the old ones. So
wow.
It was encouraging stuff. But on the other hand, you got to think whoever took those pictures is probably not working on the film anymore. So I hope they had a good time.
Yeah, seriously, right? I mean, that's like a kamikaze mission.
Yeah. I mean, if you're like an extra and it's your last day, fine. But what a stupid thing to do.
It's like a really useless kamikaze mission.
Yeah, I mean, was it cool to see? Sure. But could I have lived without him? Yeah. You know what I mean? It's not going to change anything. It's just going to prevent you from getting work.
You know what's interesting? Yeah, right, really. What's interesting is that it feels like in the post-Lucas era, they're actually trying to do a little bit more, like keeping the fans in the loop. Maybe that's just my perception.
Yeah.
This doesn't feel like a standard J.J. Abrams thing where it's like, what movie? If you went up to J.J. Abrams and you were like, hey, are you directing Star Wars Episode 7? Normally he would be like, what's Star Wars?
Right. Well, it's the mystery box thing.
Yeah, which everyone is pretty much fed up with. But this, I mean, it really does feel like as soon as there's pictures to show or whatever, we'll get them in short order. I don't think it's going to be, the way it has been.
Yeah. Well, this is Kathleen Kennedy's show, really. So, I think things are going to be a little different for Star Wars and a little different for J.J. Abrams. So,
and for everyone else who who lives in this universe. Now, while we're talking about sort of sci-fi franchises and visionary looks at them, there were two trailers that I wanted to discuss with you, both of which are new sci-fi movies by very different directors.
Mm-hmm.
And so let's start off with Christopher Nolan's new film Interstellar, which has a lot of anticipation, I think mainly just because it's Christopher Nolan's new film.
Yeah.
So let's go ahead and play some of the audio from that.
You're a well-educated man, Coop. and a trained pilot.
And an engineer.
The world doesn't need any more engineers. We didn't run out of planes and television sets. We ran out of food.
Dad, why did you name me after something that's bad?
Oh, we didn't.
Murphy's Law.
Murphy's Law doesn't mean that something bad will happen. It means that whatever can happen will happen.
We must confront the reality that nothing in our solar system can help us.
Now you need to tell me what your plan is to save the world.
All right. So, Brian, thoughts on Interstellar?
Well, I was already looking forward to this movie, but seeing the trailer obviously got me even more excited for it. I think, when Christopher Nolan was speaking at CinemaCon, he talked about how when he was growing up, movies, the summer blockbusters were for everyone. And that didn't mean that they pandered to kids or that they weren't adult enough or whatever. They just were stories that were solid enough and interesting enough that everyone could enjoy them.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what he was trying to go for with this movie. And that got me really excited because, it makes me think of like Raiders of the Lost Ark or Star Wars or Jaws or like, I imagine those are the films he's referencing. And again, I mean, those are movies that like a 10-year-old can enjoy. Those are movies that a 50-year-old can enjoy.
Right.
And when I saw this trailer, I felt like I totally understood what he was saying, because this does look like a movie that could kind of entertain anybody. It looks, you got Matthew McConaughey in a relationship with his daughters, but then he's qualified to help the world out when it looks like there's some sort of like plague going on, and it just and there's a sci-fi element to it, obviously.
Right.
And it looks like there's like some really cool world building on Earth in this like near future sort of thing where there's like droughts and whatnot. And it just looks like a Nolan picture. Like it looks epic, but it also looks like a nice story. They actually, like, I could tell you the story, what this is going to be somewhat about.
Yeah.
So good, decent characters, and I don't know. It only got me more excited, and I was already excited.
It's intriguing. I think Nolan trailers are great at giving you just enough to tease you while giving away nothing about the story. I mean, remember seeing the first trailer for Inception and being like, I have no idea what's going on, but I desperately need to see this movie.
Yeah.
I feel like we got a little bit of that here, but in my opinion, an entirely different scenario is at play with Jupiter Ascending, which is the new film by the Wachowskis, who used to be the visionary directors who everyone wanted to be, and now they're I don't know what's going on. But first, let's play some of the audio from the Jupiter Ascending trailer.
Who are you?
Feeling worse. I'm here to help you.
I just need to know what in the hell is going on.
I think we might have stumbled into a war with one of the most powerful dynasties in the universe.
Why is this happening to me?
You are royalty, Your Majesty.
You are in for a surprise when you find out what I do for a living.
That's not what you do. It's what you are. I want her found, and I want her dead.
Okay, so this looks, to quote Brian Hall, this looks like poop on a stick.
I cannot disagree with you. I do not feel it's a very good trailer, and if it wasn't the Wachowskis involved, I would be like, what is this thing with Mila Kunis that, is it coming out on VOD the same day? But I just, the Wachowskis, Cloud Atlas, I was like, all right, like they're doing something that only they could pull off.
But they didn't direct that.
They co-directed it.
Yeah.
But I mean, I feel like their influence is heavily
sure,
felt.
and more than Tom Tykwer, right?
Sure, and he, I think he's felt on there also. But I just truly appreciated that movie for being something that was so off the wall and so unwieldy, and actually, in my opinion, for me personally, worked. So I'm really curious to see. The trailer obviously isn't doing a good job conveying whatever this is, but I am interested to still see if what it is good. So I'm not gonna. I have a history with these. I was gonna say guys, not guys anymore. I have a history with these siblings, and yes. I'm willing to give it a shot.
You make it sound like you grew up with them, like in the streets of
But I am interested to still see if what it is good. So I'm not gonna. I have a history with these. I was gonna say guys, not guys anymore. I have a history with these siblings, and yes. I'm willing to give it a shot. You make
it sound like you grew up with them, like in the streets of Beverly, Illinois.
Well, no, I mean maybe because they're Chicago guys. You want to kind of root for him a little bit more, but the Matrix films, and then what did they do right after that? And then they did Speed Racer. Actually, I'll be honest, I wasn't too crazy about. But
I don't think you have to couch that as. Let me be honest, because I think most
people seem to kind of defend that movie, which I was a little. That's the only reason I watched it, was because people were like, it's pretty good, and I was like, it's colorful.
I think it's pretty good in the sense that you're like, if you eat this spicy hot chili, it's gonna give you runny, bloody stool. Right, and then you eat it, and you're like, well, I had to take a dump, but it came and went pretty quick.
I love that those last few sentences are about Speed Racer.
It speed raced right out of me.
Yeah. But no, I just feel like they're still capable of doing something above ordinary.
What's the last thing they did? I feel like we're missing a step here.
Okay.
There's Matrix, there's Speed Racer. I feel like we're missing something.
Well, let me put it this way: I don't have absolute faith in them.
Okay.
They're not Edgar Wright to me, and I don't have absolute faith in anybody. Everybody's got a stinker in there somewhere. But Edgar Wright's Ant-Man, done. You know what I mean? I'm there. I'm gonna like it. Whatever. I don't know what this is going to be. It could be terrible, but I just feel like these guys have shown enough promise and enough. Cloud Atlas, again, was so different from anything they'd done before that I'm willing to see them do something even differenter, because I'm interested what that is from them. And it may not be any good, but I'm willing to give it a shot because I think they're hit or miss, but their hits are pretty interesting.
So now
I won't even say their hits are good. I'll say their hits are interesting. I feel like they're interesting filmmakers.
You're like the master of the hedge.
Well, but I'm serious. I really do. I have not high hopes, but I have hopes that this will be a surprise for probably me and no one else. I'm sure everyone else is going to hate it.
Well, I mean, obviously, I'm going to see it. It's got my boy Channing Tatum in it. So,
see Tates. Yeah.
I'm there. There. But I think the only thing missing, he seems out of place in this.
Yes.
The only thing more out of place would be Mark Wahlberg in this.
Oh, that would have been even better.
Right?
Hey, guys, where's Jupiter? Here she's ascending. Yeah.
Hey, guys, I think I found Optimus Prime, okay?
You're a Transformer.
Just, you have to end every statement with, okay? That's my Mark Wahlberg. But anyway, yeah, so well, I'm sure we'll have more to say about both of these. Now Interstellar comes out, it's a winter movie, I think, right? Or summer. No, it's
November.
November. It's November. Okay, so it's very soon. It's coming up very soon.
Yeah.
And Jupiter Ascending is in a few weeks, I think. That's coming up in July, I believe. I suppose we could look that up. So hold on, let me take 2 seconds to.
Yeah, well, let's put it this way: Interstellar is an opening night movie.
Okay.
And Jupiter Ascending is an Amazon. Oh yeah.
That's right. Well, and Jupiter is it comes out July 18th, which is just 1 week after Dawn of the Planet of the Apes. So we know where my loyalties lie. I'm gonna fling some dung at.
And then me and Channing Tatum will be like, "Hey, stop it, yo!
Stop it, y'alls!"
He's got whatchamacallit too, 22 Jump Street.
22 Jump Street. That's coming out next
he's
week.
a summer guy.
I
don't know.
Well, and he's also doing the sequel to Magic Mike.
Oh yeah.
Which I will say is not a bad movie.
I never got around to watching it, but I heard that.
Yeah, I watched it and I liked it for what it was, but I've told my wife she's in no uncertain terms not allowed to ever watch that movie because I feel like I will lose any and all cachet I have in this house.
Yeah,
due to the impossible standard.
Yeah.
But okay, so now that we've gotten trailers and headlines out of the way, let's talk up some new releases, and we usually save the back half of the show for the spoiler wall.
Mm-hmm.
So I guess we're now in the spoiler zone. Now we've got a bunch of stuff that we're going to be talking about here. So Brian, you want to just rock and roll right through the spoilers? Do we want to bother with the niceties of yay or nay?
Oh yeah, let's. Well, okay. Well, we're gonna start with X-Men, which is already a week old, and according to my rules, that's past the spoiler wall. But just for the sake of John Q listener out there, let's just say what did you think of X-Men Days of Future Past?
Well, I gave it an A.
Wow. How often does that happen?
How often do I give movies A's? I would say relatively rarely.
Yeah.
I've actually given this a lot of thought, actually, because what I've found is a lot of times people read my reviews they don't even read the review. They just jump down to the grade.
Yeah.
And so I've
done that. I'll be guilty. I'm guilty of that. Not necessarily with you, but with reviews. Yeah, sure.
I mean, that's what people do. I get it. But the thing is, the grades, I don't know if other critics go through this, but I go through this, where it's a very tough process of trying to, because you're measuring it against other movies and also other similar movies. And so I'm always like, well, I gave this movie a C.
Yeah.
And this completely unrelated movie is better than that. So I should, but it's less good than this. But if I gave this, then I have, there's a lot of that.
Yeah.
So for example, back in 2006, I gave Superman Returns a B+.
Yeah.
Now in hindsight, I would lower that grade.
Sure.
But by virtue of giving Superman Returns a B+, I was like, well, I liked Man of Steel better than Superman Returns, and thus I have no other grade I can give it but an A. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
So I think about that a lot because it's like, well...
You're like, I gave Casablanca a B-.
Yeah.
So I feel like...
Right. So there's a little bit of that. But I try to give grades relative to the genre. So, for example, X-Men Days of Future Past, I give it an A in terms of it being an X-Men movie, in terms of it being... within its specific series. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
So in other words, an A for X-Men is not the same as an A for example, Casablanca.
Sure.
But
I think that's the right way to do it.
Yeah, but I mean, it's because all people look at is the grade.
Sure.
And so that can be kind of a challenge. But yeah, so I gave X-Men. In fact, there are now 7 X-Men movies, and of the 7 X-Men, and people, crap on the series or whatnot, but the way I see it, of the 7 X-Men movies, 3 of them are very good, 2 of them are pretty good, and 2 of them are not good.
Yeah.
So in other words, 5. Yeah, that's what I was saying. The hit to miss ratio is actually not bad. 5 to 7. 5 out of 7 are pretty good or better.
Yeah.
Not too bad,
Mm-hmm.
So Days of Future Past is sort of the culmination of every X-Men movie up until now. It's the return of Bryan Singer to the franchise. He left 11 years ago to direct Superman Returns, which ended up ruining that franchise and this franchise. So he killed two birds with one stone. But he's back directing, and this is kind of it ties up the franchise as it existed, and it also sets it up to go off in a new direction. So
taking the First Class with these characters in their youth, and then also having the characters from the present, so to speak, from the films that we know that he started with Hugh Jackman, Patrick Stewart, whatever. I mean, they did a really good job of juggling all of those characters and timelines, I thought, and making sense out of it.
A lot of people. So go into it a little bit now. What worked for you, and maybe what didn't work for you? Well,
one of the first impressions I had of the movie about halfway through, actually, was just it felt. You think of superhero movies, I think when I step away from it, I picture little kids walking around with like that moment actually at the end of Amazing Spider-Man 2 where you got the little boy in the Spider-Man suit standing in front of, what's his name? Rhinoceros or whatever. I don't know. Paul Giamatti. Rhino.
Yeah, the Rhino. Yeah.
The Rhino. I don't know. Spider-Man.
Rhinoceros.
But that's kind of what superhero movies are. I think mostly, that image actually, basically, like a kid thinking he could be in this movie and stand up against like the biggest foe, and in that movie, Paul Giamatti didn't shoot the kid. You know what I mean? Because in that movie, you could have a little boy stand out there in the middle of machine gun fire, and you feel like he's completely safe. Uh-huh. This movie struck me, when I saw Hugh Jackman's naked ass. Like some F-bombs and like brutal violence. I was like, well, this is not a kid's movie.
No, it's not. Yeah.
Yeah. It's pretty adult and, in some ways pretty sophisticated. There's a lot of, history referenced in there. And, there's even like a clever play on the Zapruder film, I thought.
Mm-hmm.
And so I really appreciated how sophisticated they tried to make the story. And it's not like high art or anything, but it was a
I feel like we should put adult and sophisticated in like air quotes.
Well, yeah, I mean it was a superhero movie that attempted to rise above the genre a little bit and just it involves it didn't involve like some gamma ray that with a blue light that shot into the sky. You know what I mean? It involves like the president and it involves like, right. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, totally.
Like, it involves just like conspiracies and cover-ups and altering history and politics, politicking and like what that would be like if mutants were introduced into the public consciousness and how that would affect like militarizing, things. And so it's a pretty... But at the same time, for as maybe crazy as that sounds, it was all pretty evenly handled.
Right.
And I thought
And I mean, I had this reaction where I was like, the climax, the third act was relatively small scale.
For being as massive as what was happening? Yeah, exactly. It was very simple what was actually going on.
I mean, this isn't like...
Nice.
I really like... We were just talking about Man of Steel, right? I feel like Man of Steel kind of like broke me in terms of just having any interest in just buildings breaking and that kind of ending.
Well, and when I say you're right, I mean sophisticated maybe is a little bit of a strong word, but at the same time, this movie wasn't about smashy. You know what I mean? Right. It wasn't just like 30 minutes of collision and aliens throwing each other into buildings and then in that movie too, a blue light going into the sky. That's and so
right. Yeah,
this was actually about a story and you had to follow it and there was motivations and
like I feel like our threshold for spectacle has gotten so elevated that a scene where the White House is destroyed is like, oh, it's like a character, it's like an intimate character drama.
Yeah.
It's to me, you know what it is? It's the equivalent of like back in the day, not me, mind you, but just in general, like all people needed was like the Victoria's Secret catalog.
Okay, yeah.
Right? But now in the age of, whatever freakish perversion I can think of, I can find online.
Yeah.
It's the bar for stimulus gets increasingly high.
So when the Victoria's Secret catalog comes, you're just like, oh, hey, honey, it's for you.
Yeah, exactly. right? It used to be this kind of amazing occurrence for certain people, not me. Again, this does not apply to me at all. But
sure.
But the hypothetical person out there,
your friend Schmacky. Yeah.
But that's kind of what it is. Because
I know what you're saying.
Because I really and I will specifically point to Man of Steel at that moment as the moment where I was like, you know what, this is not. It's just noise. It's just sound and fury at this point.
Yeah, I think for me, well, it probably happened much sooner, but I think Thor 2. That climax, I was like, this is just, I don't even know what's going on. I don't care.
Yeah.
But this is the perfect, I mean, I guess we could say spoilers. Even though we say this, it's still not even that much of a spoiler, honestly. Yeah. But I mean, it involves the White House, and it involves trapping people in the White House in a very fantastic way. And that's it. And then the drama takes place within that space.
Right.
And those are the stakes. Not smashing every monument in Washington.
I feel like they've done such a great job of really building on the Magneto Professor X relationship.
Right.
That they established not only in the previous trilogy, but like in First Class. That I at the close of this story, I'm like, I want to see what they do with that next.
Yeah.
Now at this point we are going to go full on indisposed because we got to talk about the ending.
Yeah.
What do you make of the ending?
I'm not exactly sure what you mean, but I mean, do you mean?
Well, what do you think I mean? What do you make of what I ask about what you make?
Are you talking about what happened in the 60s or what happened in the near future?
The 70s and the near future.
70s, sorry. Well, I think what happened was...
See, we really need Sean here for this because Sean is like...
he's the X-Men guy.
He's the X-Men guy, yeah, but...
Yeah, he actually just texted me a picture of him. I texted him a picture of me making a frowny face right now as we're recording, and then he sent me a picture of himself pulling his hair out. He's working right now, actually, on his show.
Okay.
So
yes, that's right.
I guess that's valid.
That's why they pay him the big bucks.
Yeah. But anyway, no, I think what happened was the whole, setup of the film was Mystique. They were able to make highly sophisticated weapons out of Mystique's, chemical makeup.
Her DNA.
Her DNA.
So her DNA.
That was plaguing.
Her DNA allows her to assume the shape and identity and presumably powers of whoever she chooses.
Yeah.
So let me make sure I have this right. So in the 70s, she assassinated Peter Dinklage.
Right. Who was building
the robots,
the Sentinels that were designed to take out mutants. But why? Wait. In the first timeline, why was he building those if mutants weren't necessarily a threat yet? Or were they?
But they were a threat.
They were. But then it seemed to be like timeline B, which we follow in the film. It seemed like when she jumped out that window, that was exposing everyone to the threat of mutants, and that was how he was able to get that funding pushed.
Okay, so originally what happened in the original timeline is that Mystique. See, this is why we got to do the spoilers. So in the original timeline, Trask. Now, bear in mind, mutants have been exposed to the world 10 years earlier via the Cuban Missile Crisis.
Right.
So Trask is aware of mutants, and he's building these Sentinels, or he's not even building them. He's planning. He's planning them, right? But if you remember, he gets shut down. The funding gets like the project is not approved.
Right.
Right. So shortly thereafter, he's trying to get funding for these Sentinels. He's meeting all the foreign world leaders, and Mystique knows about this. And so she kills him.
Mm-hmm.
So at that point, she kills him, and she's captured. She's captured and released at some point.
Right.
But while she's captured, the government or whoever, his company, comes into possession of her DNA.
Mm-hmm.
So they keep that on file and they continue to develop. And then at some point after the last X-Men movie, the Sentinels are built based on the DNA of her that they've found, and then the dark future happens.
Do you think that whatever they did to her in that moment turned her into looking like Rebecca Romijn Stamos? And that's why she looks like that in the earlier films. But since that didn't happen, that got altered in this movie, she will continue to look like Jennifer Lawrence.
I just assumed that she looked slightly older as Rebecca Romijn. Who is no longer Rebecca Romijn Stamos, by the way.
I realized that as I said that.
Yeah, it's like 14 years ago. But hold on, my brain is like frying.
So now we're back. Now we're back to what we witnessed, where
yes.
Wolverine consciousness, not Wolverine. Yes. Wolverine's consciousness has been sent back in time.
Correct.
Into his body in 1970 something.
Yes, 73, I think.
Yeah. And he has now talked to 70s Charles Xavier and Magneto.
Yes.
Told them that they have to stop Mystique from doing this thing.
Yes.
So that's our movie. Now we got a picture.
Yes. So in the future, we get Patrick Stewart as Professor X, we get Ian McKellen as Magneto, we get Halle Berry as Storm. Basically, they try to cram in as many of the sort of surviving original characters as possible. And then in the past, we have James McAvoy as Xavier, and we have Michael Fassbender as Magneto, and they're both awesome. I love them both.
Uh-huh.
And we meet Xavier at a point where he's at his lowest ebb for whatever reason. And so Wolverine has to then sort of get him to come out of his funk and do what has to be done. Now, my question is, how did that go in the original timeline?
What eventually got him out of that funk?
Yeah.
Maybe they ran out of that serum. That was.
So he has to.
I don't know.
See, I think this is one of those movies where
there's a lot of holes.
If you stop and think about the time travel, you will actually disappear into a black hole that's created in the middle of your head.
There's a million questions when this movie is over. But what I found was interesting was there's so many articles about all the holes, but like unlike other films, no one seemed to care. They're like, hey, yeah, whatever, still good.
Isn't that interesting? That's
no one
very
seemed
true.
to care.
That's very true. Well, so the very, very end of the movie is the end of the movie. The coda is that Wolverine wakes up in his own body in the future, and it's now an altered future where the dark timeline has not come to pass.
Mm-hmm.
And so now the school is still there. Professor Xavier is still there. Everybody's teaching whatever, and still alive are Jean Grey and Cyclops, played by Famke Janssen and James Marsden. Now, both of those actors, I have to give them all the props in the world because they've been asked about this movie repeatedly. And they kept, like James Marsden, I read an interview with him like not even a week before the movie came out, and he's like, I'd love to come back, and anytime they want me, I would do it, but completely playing the fool as far as, oh no, I have nothing to do with this movie.
Yeah.
And so that was, I think, a genuine surprise. I don't know if that happened in your crowd, but my audience bust out in applause when he shows up. Now,
my audience busted out in applause when Storm died. Seriously. And then I think it's that moment, yeah.
Those are the two applause moments. Now, so that's the good future. So they've reverted the past future, the bad future. And then we go back to 1973, and we see Wolverine being retrieved by who we think is Stryker, the character who is eventually going to be played by Brian Cox, but it turns out it's Mystique.
Mm-hmm.
And so
Which
the idea
is different.
It's completely different.
And raises a lot of questions.
Well, so exactly. So what we know then from the future is that events in the past have changed such that X-Men: The Last Stand, the third crappy movie directed by Brett Ratner, did not happen.
Mm-hmm.
We can also assume that X-Men Origins, the crappy prequel movie directed by Gavin Hood, also did not happen.
That's weird, isn't it? That's all negated.
Well, and I mean, I think if you think about it, every previous X-Men movie is negated except for First Class.
Yeah.
So that's kind of bonkers. So my question is, where does this go next?
Like, I know people are wondering if, the next film, will it involve the Patrick Stewart Xavier, or will it be the James McAvoy Xavier?
Yeah.
It's hard to say, but I mean, if you are going to send off that first cast, I mean, I can't think of a better way.
What a great ending, right?
Yeah, perfect ending for them. I mean, that really is the perfect capper for them, and now let's follow the adventures of these younger.
Well, I've thought about this, because obviously they recognize, Fox, recognize that if the future of the franchise is the McAvoy Fassbender cast, it just makes sense because they're younger, right?
Right.
And Fassbender is blown up, Jennifer Lawrence is blown up.
Yeah.
But this way, they get to keep Hugh Jackman as Wolverine for a little while longer.
Yeah. But it's funny, too, because then that means every single X-Men movie for a while will be a period movie, right? Like, it'll always be in the 70s, or it'll be in the 80s, or,
yeah,
you know what I mean?
They've even said that the next one is going to be set in the 80s.
Yeah. So that's kind of interesting. I mean,
they're going to have, like, the pastel suits and the flock of seagulls hair.
Yeah, it's kind of interesting, right? I mean, you're not going to get those guys in the present anytime soon.
Yeah,
they're not going to have cell phones or.
You know what's funny is that I'm somebody who has not really followed the X-Men comics since like forever, So really, when it comes to I love the universe, but really it's the movies for me, and I would assume for you too.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, definitely.
And so it's funny to contrast that reaction with somebody like, for example, Sean, again, who's not here, but who's a big fan of the comics and who does really have a fondness for sort of the peculiarities of the comics.
Mm-hmm.
And he kind of reflexively dislikes when they stray from that.
Right.
So there's a little bit of like, oh, what about this? What about that? So I feel like at this point, the X-Men movie franchise has really kind of just become its own thing.
Yeah. Yeah.
It pays, maybe touches on aspects of the comics, but it's just doing its own thing.
Yeah.
So the next movie is called X-Men Apocalypse, and it's going to be directed by Bryan Singer, as far as we know. And it brings in a character called Apocalypse, and they're calling it a superhero disaster movie.
Well, we get a tease of him. Apocalypse after the credits.
At the very end. Now, I think my reaction again in the crowd I saw it with was half the crowd like started applauding excitedly, and half the crowd was like, "What the hell is that?"
It was exactly like the Thanos moment.
Exactly right. And Thanos, by the way, the villain in Guardians of the Galaxy, who's going to be voiced by, did you hear this? Josh Brolin.
Yeah, right.
Josh Brolin, yeah. So Simon Kinberg, who wrote Days of Future Past, has said, yeah, it's going to be, they've done kind of they've done the time travel movie within this franchise, and now they're doing the big mutant superhero disaster. So Green Lantern will now no longer be the only superhero disaster movie out there. Green Lantern and
X-Men is cool.
I know. They've gotten the franchise back on track. I'm excited.
Mm-hmm.
I'm happy about that. Now, actually, just by chance, I happened to two interesting bits. X-Men: Days of Future Past opened May 23rd, which is 20 years to the day that the final episode of Star Trek: The Next Generation aired. Exactly 20 years. And it gets better. Both the finale of Star Trek: The Next Generation and Days of Future Past involve a dark future that Patrick Stewart is trying to change the past to prevent from happening.
Really?
That's absolutely true.
Wow. That's kind of weird.
Yeah, 20 years to the day.
Huh.
That's it's pretty neat.
It's familiar territory.
Yeah, exactly. Well, you know who to call. Get Patrick Stewart on the phone when you. Patrick Stewart. Yeah, I remember Roger Ebert did a review of Star Trek Nemesis, which was the last of the Next Generation movies in 2002, and he hated Star Trek Nemesis. He hated it. It's a terrible movie. But I remember in his review he mentions, he's like, Patrick Stewart is somebody who says people say Patrick Stewart can make even bad dialogue sound good. I say stop encouraging him. Because the movie is just terrible. Yeah. But as it happens, they were playing Back to the Future at my local Cinemark, and as like a special. They screen classics, mm-hmm. And so I happened to see it on the big screen. I took my boys just a few days after I saw Days of Future Past, and I realized it's the same movie. because Logan is Marty McFly.
Yeah.
And Professor X is George McFly.
Yeah, right? I see it.
It's the same movie because he has to go back and convince his father figure to man up, and then when Marty wakes up and Logan wakes up in the future, everything is different.
Well, and it's funny too because it has to do with everything needs to go the way it was supposed to, but of course, because it's a movie, it doesn't. And so they improvise and they do something slightly different.
Yep.
Like you said, that changes the future into something better.
Yeah. It's the same movie. Well, and it is. And here's the thing, right? Because same way, like Marty is the main character of Back to the Future, but he's not the engine of the plot.
Right. He doesn't change.
Exactly, right? And it's the same thing with Logan in Days of Future Past.
Right.
And I actually appreciated the fact that they really did make him part of the ensemble.
Yeah. Yeah.
This is not like everything's not revolving around him. He has a key role, but it's definitely like everyone gets beats.
Mm-hmm.
But so that's X-Men Days of Future Past. We both liked that. Now, a couple other releases out right now, which you have not seen, Brian.
No. These came out. Both of these came out this weekend, and I have not had a chance to see them, but I'm interested to hear all about them, and I'm sure I'll have plenty of questions. So,
well, okay. So first up, we have A Million Ways to Die in the West. This is the follow-up by director writer Seth MacFarlane to the #1 R-rated comedy of all time, which is Ted.
Uh-huh.
And the truth is, when you direct the #1 R-rated comedy of all time, you get a lot of leeway when it comes to your follow-up.
Yep.
So for his follow-up, he decided to make a comedy western starring himself. and I'm convinced that the impetus behind this was he really wanted to make out with Charlize Theron. And I don't blame him.
Sure.
But I did not like this movie. I nearly walked out of this movie.
Really?
I contemplated walking out, not because it was offensive, or racist or sexist or any of that. It's all of that, but because it was incredibly boring.
Huh. See, with Ted, I enjoyed Ted enough. Like I'm not gonna say I loved it. It made me laugh. It's whatever. It was just fine. It's like your better than average comedy.
Mm-hmm.
And his style, I think, is such that he throws 100 things at a wall and 50% of them stick, and that's you shrink it all down, the percentages are still more laughs than your average comedy. So sure, whatever.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna have my life changed, but so I was sort of expecting the same. Like I didn't think it was gonna be like a classic or anything, but I expected to laugh more often than not, and so I was very surprised to see your negative review right away, and then I started seeing more and more negative reviews, very negative reviews coming from people. So I was, and
it's just to be clear, I don't come at this as a Seth MacFarlane hater. I actually find Seth MacFarlane generally charming and funny, and I generally enjoy at least giving a shot to the things he has to offer. So that's important to clarify. And there were definitely moments in here that are very funny. And let me set the tone for what the story is about. So he plays a sheep farmer in the Old West, and his girlfriend is played by Amanda Seyfried, who dumps him because she feels he's a loser or whatever, and she hooks up with Neil Patrick Harris because he has a mustache. It's a very refined mustache, and so he's very, bitter about that and whatnot. And then he meets Charlize Theron, who is actually the wife of the most feared gunslinger in the West, who's played by Liam Neeson.
Uh-huh.
And he ends up falling in love with her, and things get complicated and whatnot. And it's kind of the whole thing is a rack, like a coat rack to just hang gags on, right? And there's some funny stuff in there. Sarah Silverman plays a prostitute who is very graphic about her. Obviously when people are having their way with her, but her boyfriend, who's played by Giovanni Ribisi, has never slept with her because they're devout Christians, so they want to wait until marriage.
Okay.
Yeah, and I mean that's like the gag is like mildly amusing, but they keep hitting you with it, Right.
That sounds like a bad joke, like a dirty grandpa would say or something, and then it's like, okay, grandpa. But then, okay, so that's a subplot. Got it.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, there's a funny bit where like his Seth MacFarlane's girlfriend has dumped him, right? And so he's Giovanni Ribisi's friend. He comes to visit him. He's like, I'm just looking at pictures of me and Louise, and he's going through these pictures, right? And it's the two of them at various places, right? But it's like pictures from the Old West,
right?
And if you remember how people would take pictures, they just stand very stoic.
Right.
So that's the gag. He's like, here's look at this picture, and it's just the two of them at various
very stern and different. Yeah.
Yeah, that's funny, right? That's like you look at that, it's funny.
Yeah.
But then they keep going back to that gag.
Oh, really?
Again, and it's like it was funny. It's just like a throwaway thing,
Yeah.
It's funny as like The Simpsons used to be really good at this, where it's just like some kind of like the name of a store in the background.
Right.
And it's really funny, but you move on.
Right.
It's like that's what this is, where it's like there's funny bits that they just don't know. I mean, when you think about it, this is kind of a Family Guy thing, right? Where they, like the greased up deaf guy on Family Guy was funny exactly once.
Right.
The chicken with the coupon was funny exactly once.
Right.
But they overdo it,
Well, that's funny because when you bring The Simpsons into the mix, that kind of reminds me that why I don't really find The Simpsons as funny as I used to. It's because the crazy cat lady was a punchline.
Right.
Not a character. Not a character. And now she's a character, and they keep bringing her back, and she's not funny. And like the Disco Stew was a punchline.
Right.
Remember that? It was because Homer found
Disco Stud.
Disco jacket. It was supposed to say Disco Stud, but they ran out of space, so it just said Disco Stew. And there's a guy like, hey, I'm Disco Stew. I'd like that. Funny punchline. But now he's like a character. And, yeah, so it sounds like latter Simpsons.
There was one moment when I actually legitimately cracked up. And it's in the trailer, so I feel comfortable spoiling it here, which is so it's like the middle of the night, and Seth MacFarlane is sort of walking in the middle of this western town, this very backlot-looking western town, and he sees like from inside the blacksmith like electricity, and he's like, what the hell? And he opens it, and there's Christopher Lloyd as Doc Brown working on the DeLorean.
Yeah.
Now, you're laughing knowingly because you've seen that bit already.
It's Stadley, yes.
Right? Now, I'm like, why would you... Like, if you're Universal, why would you spoil that gag?
I mean, that's the thing. Like, opening weekend now is all about getting butts in seats because you live and die by your opening weekend. So if you got to spoil your whole movie to get everyone to show up, if they're like, oh, that joke looks hilarious, so they'll go, even though it spoils like a great moment, and that's what they'll do now, which is unfortunate. But I was really disappointed to see that because I'm sure that would have like blown my mind coming out of nowhere in the middle of the movie.
Coming out of nowhere, exactly. So they ruined that. I don't even understand that. So that was my one, like that was one legitimate laugh, and then another legitimate laugh I had was near the end, which is it's to me a 2-hour comedy. Which, by the way, it's a 2-hour comedy.
Yeah,
it's too long.
First of all, don't.
Yeah, I mean,
yeah.
If you prune about 30 minutes out of this, it would absolutely, without a doubt, have been a stronger movie.
Right.
So A Million Ways to Die in the West, kind of a fail for me, and apparently it's not landing with audiences. It's made less than $17 million, which is I think what Ted made like its opening day.
Right. Yeah.
So I think at this point they are doing Ted 2, right? I'm assuming.
I bet they are now.
Yeah, if they weren't before, right, they are now. So
yeah, but then do you think it's interesting having Seth MacFarlane as the lead, right? And it's whatever, it's not really looking so great. But then when you have him doing his humor coming out of something cuddly, you know what I mean? Like when you have like a teddy bear saying crazy offensive things, or when you have like a little baby Stewie saying crazy offensive things. I mean, is that height? You make it happen and palatable, or if it's coming out of like some, no offense, but like douchey-looking guy, is it not fun?
Yeah, you know what? Here's what I'm going to say. Seth MacFarlane is not even a bad actor. Like, he's okay in the movie, but he's not a leading man. You know, and I think we needed one of two things. We either needed somebody else to direct him, or him to direct somebody else.
Right.
Just because there's moments in the movie that are very funny where he does these bits, where he does these riffs about like, oh, life in the West sucks because blah blah blah. But it's like doing stand up.
Right.
And it's funny, but it doesn't go anywhere.
Right.
The whole movie just kind of withers and dies. Kind of like the title, right? Now another movie that just opened is Disney's Maleficent. Which I did like.
Go on.
Well, now what have you been hearing about this?
Visually interesting. A little boring. A little like if it had a little more bite. I didn't know this was rated PG. So I guess wisely, I would say it was aimed probably at little girls, you know, and with the darker imagery and sort of almost the Tim Burton-esque sort of tint to it, I think then you think you could get some of the teens and then maybe some adults in there too. But from the reviews I've read coming from adults, they said if it had a little more bite to it, it might have been more interesting. Yeah, I mean, but it's retelling Sleeping Beauty, so like what can you really do, you know? Well, my friend and yours, Chad, he knows Sleeping Beauty pretty well. And because I know you said you were not familiar with it, and he said he had a hard time linking the two. Like he felt like they didn't. I don't see how, based on what I know of Sleeping Beauty, because I saw the movie and then I went and I read about it. I have not seen the Disney Sleeping Beauty, but you know, I did read up after seeing it. There's no way you can reconcile. Like this is not like what happens in the margins of Sleeping Beauty. This is like at about a third of the way in, it becomes its own thing. Right. And that's the thing, right? Maleficent is doing the Wicked story, you know, template, right? Wicked is like, oh, here's what you didn't know about the Wicked Witch of the West. Right. This is that, but with the witch and Sleeping Beauty. But this is not, you know, she's the good guy, not just of this story, but like of the objective measure of these events based on what we see here. It's like, why? Yeah, I mean that's the thing. This is not Hannibal or something where we're just getting more texture. She's straight up the hero of the story. I don't know. I haven't seen it. And maybe it'll be. It was a big hit. I mean, it opened number one. What, like 70 million, nearly 70 million. Yep. And so obviously something's working. But I don't know. Like, why sort of betray that character? I don't know. It's weird. It's odd to me because it's like I know of fans of Sleeping Beauty who are very irked by this. Right. And I get that. On its own, I liked it for what it was. I had no idea. Like I read up later, I was like, wow, she's extremely evil in the other story. This is not, you know, it's like making a Batman story where the Joker is misunderstood and the hero, you know. It's very much in that vein, and the story is narrated by an old lady who we find out at the end is Sleeping Beauty. So in other words, the story is being told to us by Sleeping Beauty. So in other words, it's like, well, who would know better than the person who experienced all this? Right. Who was asleep for a lot of it. But she's not even asleep for a lot of it in the context of the film. That's the funny thing. So I'm going to spoil this for you. Is this okay? Spoilers, people. Yeah. So in the film, the curse is that she at 16 she's pricked by a spinning wheel needle, and she can only be she'll go to sleep. She can only be awoken by true love's kiss. And then in the Disney version, Prince Philip
handsome generic Disney prince kisses her. She wakes up. The end. Happily ever after. Oh, and Maleficent turns into a dragon, and they defeat her in the end.
Yeah.
In this, the prince kisses her. Now, oh, by the way, the prince kisses her because Maleficent brings the prince to her. Because Maleficent is trying to break the spell.
Right.
Because Maleficent regrets the spell.
As one could.
Right, because, well, in the context of the movie, like, she's not stupid. Because, okay, so I should rewind here. I need to go backwards now.
Sure.
So
Drink
Maleficent...
up,
Yeah, I know, seriously. I'm just chugging water because it's so elaborate. So Maleficent is this fairy, and she guards the forest, and it's like magical and whatever. And humans, frickin' humans, these humans, you know how they are. So they're trying to like rampage through the forest, right? And Maleficent is like the defender of the forest. So she like beats back the human army, whatever. And the king, who's an older guy, is dying, and he says, whoever brings me her head will be the king after me, right? So Charlton Copley plays this guy Stefan, who she knew as a boy. Mm-hmm. And so he comes to her and he's like, "Hey, Maleficent, I'm here to warn you." And she trusts him, right? Because when they were younger, he gave her, wait for it, true love's kiss.
Ah.
Right? And so she trusts him, and he drugs her, and she falls asleep, and he cuts off her wings.
Okay.
And brings them to the king as like a trophy. And so the king is like, "Oh, you killed her, so now you're the king," right? So essentially, he put her to sleep, had his way with her, got what he wanted,
Seriously?
and took off.
Ugh.
I mean, that's it, right? That's what happens.
Yeah.
I don't have to do much like interpretation, right? So when she shows up to like, deliver the curse, it's because she's like, "Hey, remember when you didn't call after you like, did that thing to me,
Yeah.
So that's that, and what happens is that she ends up keeping an eye on the little girl for whatever reason, and so as the girl is getting older and older, she ends up kind of coming to love her.
Right. Okay.
So she tries to recant the spell; it doesn't work. So the girl, so she's asleep, and the prince kisses her. It doesn't work. Nothing happens. So then she comes into the room, and she's like, "I'm so sorry," and she kisses her on the forehead. True love's kiss. So in other words, the villain of the story is, you know what I mean? So again, bear in mind, as somebody who has not seen the original, I was like, well, that's kind of interesting. I don't know anything about it. And then I realized that nothing remotely similar to that happens in the animated version.
I feel like you said, if it was taking place in the margins of the original, that's one thing. But to completely destroy the first film.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like,
I mean, there's no way you can reconcile the two.
Yeah. I haven't seen it, so I can't officially say anything about it. But that just seems very odd to me.
Yeah. So that's that.
But you, like you said, on your own, on its own, you enjoyed it as a film.
I was engaged.
This is a first-time director too, right?
Yeah. It's Robert Stromberg. Who's a special effects guy, right? So he worked on Avatar, he worked on Oz the Great and Powerful, he worked on Alice in Wonderland, and this is very much in that wheelhouse.
Sure.
It's basically set in the world of Oz / Wonderland / Avatar. You know how all three of those are kind of the same?
Yeah.
This is like right
of a piece.
Yeah, they all kind of they all fit together. So is he a good actor director? I can't say, but definitely as far as staging the action, he does a good job. This I will say, I mean, Angelina Jolie is phenomenal in this movie. She's very, very good.
Yeah.
And I think she really does elevate it more than maybe it deserves to be elevated. Mm-hmm. So if you're a fan of her, you'll enjoy her in this. And you met her, didn't you?
Yeah.
You worked on Mr. and Mrs. Smith.
Uh-huh. Yeah, I had a couple encounters with her, but the most memorable was
you introduced Brad Pitt and Angelina Jolie, as I recall.
No, don't put that on me. But no, I was out in the parking lot and I was playing with Maddox, the first kid she adopted, and he had this like, what do you call those? The Sparklets water jugs.
Uh-huh.
And it was empty, and he was throwing it up, and like it was coming back down. It was making a really loud noise, and he thought it was really funny. And so I started doing it. It was really loud, but I was like, well, whatever. If this kid's doing it, I can do it. He's the star's kid. And then all of a sudden, people started joining us and laughing and whatever. And then I didn't even realize it, but one of them was Angelina Jolie. And she was so I was playing with her kid, and she was smiling and playing with her kid. And I was like, I can't believe this is happening.
So weird.
Yeah, it's a weird moment. But it was really nice, too. I mean, she's a sweet woman. From the little interaction I've had.
Yeah, well, and did you have any interaction with Brad Pitt?
Yeah. Yeah.
You have a funny Brad Pitt story, as I recall.
It's not hilarious or anything, but I was a PA on that, so you got to do a lot of the grunt work and letting people in and not letting people in to areas where they're shooting. And there was a moment where I was letting people in, and I had to check a list. And yeah, this motorcycle comes up with a guy with the visor down. I'm like, oh, sorry, we're shooting over here and whatever, and I can only let. And then he like lifts up his visor. It's Brad Pitt. I was like, right this way. Yeah, but and then sorry, this is now like name drop time for me. I will say this. This is horrifying for any other people who are PAs out there. Oh, you have to get lunch for large groups of people. So I mean, like 30 people sometimes. 30 plus people you have to get lunches. And the first day Brad Pitt came in, his lunch was included in that order, and his was the only lunch that didn't show up. So everyone got their lunch except Brad Pitt, and I'm the guy that was in charge of it. And so I don't remember how it went down, but basically he was super cool about it. It was like, whatever, man, I'll take whatever. And so like I ended up getting him like a salad somewhere, and he's like, cool, whatever, So yeah, but I just remember that feeling like, of all the people.
But that, to me, what you're describing says that he's a guy who is not super concerned with the trappings of stardom.
Sure, yeah. Where the people who are probably like 5 tiers below him would like throw in a hissy fit.
Right. Like he's at such a high station that it's really like a whatever, because he doesn't have to put on airs about who he is.
Yeah.
I think that's really interesting.
Yeah, I brought a friend to like the shoot. The poster. It's kind of the DVD. It's like a white background, then back to back.
Yeah.
I was there when they were shooting that, and I brought a friend, a girl I was interested in at the time actually, and he even like was like, hey, what's up? Like said hi, and I was like, hey. Yeah, so cool dude.
Very cool. Well, yeah. Okay, so that was directed by Doug Liman.
Yes. Oh, you're a master. I thought you were just letting me waste time like an old man telling my stories.
Let me tell you about the time I met Brad Pitt. No, so Doug Liman directed Mr. and Mrs. Smith. That was like his first big action movie. No, that's not true, because he did The Bourne Identity before that.
Oh, yeah.
We forget that Doug Liman kind of inaugurated.
You kind of do, yeah. He kicked that off.
We associate it with Paul Greengrass. But his latest film is called Edge of Tomorrow, which is probably the most generic title of it tells you nothing useful about the movie.
Well, it used to be called All You Need Is Kill,
which is a completely wrong title for a movie that you're going to release to the mainstream, because
totally, it sounds like a comic book, but that's kind of a cool title. That's a good video game.
I don't think you can title a mainstream movie All You Need Is Kill. You know what I'm saying?
You're right. Yeah. Good point. Good point.
Like when they announced the title, I was like, well, they're going to change it to something.
Yeah, but it's pretty attention grabbing.
It is. And Edge of Tomorrow is I mean, it feels focus group to death.
Yeah, it feels like something that should go after a colon.
Right.
Something more exciting. Edge of Tomorrow.
Right. It feels like they had like 6 titles that no one could agree on.
Yeah.
And so Edge of Tomorrow was the 7th one that everyone was like, all right.
Right.
But so Doug Liman directed it. It stars Tom Cruise and Emily Blunt. And I got out of the screening of this movie mere moments before getting on and talking to you. So it's very fresh in my mind. And I really liked it.
That's what I've heard.
Yeah, it's so this is a sci-fi movie. It's a sci-fi time travel movie. And boy, if you thought X-Men: Days of Future Past gave you a headache, wait.
Really?
Because this, you know what this is? This is Groundhog Day meets Starship Troopers. That's what this movie is.
All right.
So you've got
like both those movies.
Yeah, well, it met two great tastes that go great together, right? So Tom Cruise is this guy who's, or actually, let's rewind. Some aliens have invaded the Earth, and they're just kicking our ass all over the place, right? So humanity is headed towards extinction. Tom Cruise is this military guy who's like a PR guy. He's not even a soldier, but he's told to go to the front lines. And he's unprepared, and he's part of like the battalion that's going to storm the beach. Something happens, I'm not going to reveal what, and he ends up reliving that day. Like he's killed in action, and he relives that day.
Mm-hmm.
And then he dies again, and he goes back to the beginning of the day, and then he dies again, goes back, and it keeps happening.
Yeah.
And there's this I'm kind of keeping spoilers because you haven't seen it, so I don't want to. But it's like Groundhog Day, where with each new life he retains the memory of what happened last time.
Right.
So he's picking up new stuff, and he's able to plan, a counter strategy against these aliens and stuff. Yeah, it's really, I feel like, we've talked about this before, how Tom Cruise is just one of these guys who's able to pick smartly.
Right.
And this is in that vein. I mean, I don't think it's going to blow anybody's mind, but I do feel like it is going to get ignored a little bit in the summer. Because I don't think that there's a lot of buzz out there for this.
Well, I'll say the commercials, I like Tom Cruise. We've talked about this a lot. But the commercials don't grab me. They look very... I mean, it's just the color palette, looks very bland and drab, and it looks like something I've kind of seen before. I see like dudes running around in mech suits. It kind of makes me think of like Elysium or something. You know what I mean? Like something about it feels very familiar.
Right.
But at the same time, even before what you just said now, I've heard not just like, oh, it's pretty good. I've heard like, oh, no, I was surprised by how good this was. Like I've been hearing that quite a bit. So that's made me feel like more need to go see it rather than wait for it.
I think it's a pleasant surprise in that it's a relatively new concept, and anything in the summer that's not a reboot, a prequel, a sequel, or a remake,
right? We
should really wholeheartedly support.
Yeah, because I don't really know, aside from what you just said, the plot.
Yeah, and I
don't know what it's about.
I've kept it pretty close to the chest because I really do think this is one of those movies that it's fun to just kind of watch.
Mm-hmm.
I just saw a movie last week called The Signal.
Oh, how was that?
It's
That's okay if it's not. I don't have like too much invested.
No, I'll be honest. I mean, I can't say I loved it, but there were aspects of it that I really appreciated.
Mm-hmm.
And it's directed by a guy named William Eubank, and that's the kind of movie that I think the less you know about it, the better. Like, have you seen any trailers for it or anything like that?
I've seen the trailer, but it's kind of confusing if I remember right. Like, it's a little abstract.
Yeah, I mean, and the movie is abstract. So I think I'm definitely reaching a point now where I feel like notwithstanding like big movies like X-Men or something where you're going to watch the trailer anyway, but really like something like Interstellar, like I don't want to see any more trailers for it.
Right.
Like I really just want to let the movie happen. And I think Edge of Tomorrow is like that.
Mm-hmm.
Where you just go in and don't know anything about it, and you'll probably end up appreciating it a lot more. And again, there's a lot of time travel business that will for sure make your head hurt.
So many head hurt movies.
Yes, a lot of head hurt going on.
Yeah. Well, I'm looking forward to it. It comes out this weekend, right? The 6th?
Comes out this weekend, yeah.
Yeah, I'm sure I'll see it.
And that brings us right up to the end of our show.
Hey-o!
So we blazed through a lot of new releases, kind of switched up the format a little bit, but a lot to like, a lot to dislike. As always, let us know what you think. Let us know what your thoughts are about anything that we're doing or about what you'd like us to talk about. You can reach us at moviefilmpodcast@gmail.com and also via our Facebook page, which is facebook.com/moviefilmpodcast. As always, make sure you hit up iTunes and Stitcher Radio. Write us a review, leave us a star rating, let us know how we're doing. Brian, where can people find you online?
At everythingbrian.blogspot.com. Sorry.
And
you can tell, by the way, I stumbled over that, how often I've been
really
lately.
And speaking of how little or how often, do you have a Twitter account?
I do. It's at everythingbrian. If you pop by, I promise I'll say hello.
Ironically, everything Brian has nothing Brian.
Yeah.
It's very sad. I'm actually curious. I'm going to pull up your profile right now because I'm curious to know whether you've accrued like additional followers.
Oh, this is going to be a sad answer, but it probably. I think I'm going to look up the last tweet I did, and it was probably like at Chex Yes, I won $1 million, or some like sad contest where you have to like tweet.
You have tweeted exactly one time.
It was probably to you.
You poor bastard. It was to me.
Yeah. I don't know. I don't see where Twitter fits in my life at this moment, but I'm open to the possibilities, hence its existence.
That's how I view my children. I don't see how they fit into my life, but I'm open to the possibilities, hence their existence.
I need this, man. I love this. I'm glad this is a show, but this is just so much fun. Just this stuff from you.
Well, we only get to talk every 2 weeks, so it's nice to be able to catch up about this. Now you can find me online at Zaki's Corner. That's ZAKIScorner.com, and also at Twitter at Zaki's Corner. And you can also find my reviews at the Huffington Post. My movie reviews go up regularly, as does the Movie Film Podcast. Sean Coyle is not with us this week, but he is here in spirit. We're hoping, and we're hoping eventually. I'm going to go ahead and say it. Within the next 15 episodes, he may or may not make an appearance. Maybe.
We hope.
I'm going to say it. I don't want to speak definitively, but there it is. I'm keeping it real. But on behalf of my good friend Brian Hall and the absent Sean Coyle, my name is Zaki Hassan. This is the Movie Film Podcast, and we will see you in 2 weeks.
Welcome, friends.